The worst part of that job for a really high performing person who wants to be successful is doing your job really hard, giving it 110% every day, and then looking to your right and looking to your left and seeing people that are giving 75% of your effort and getting the same paycheck. And worse still, those people might actually get raises before you, not because they work harder, but because they're better at navigating internal politics of the organization. Is sales the right career for you? Largely speaking, there are two types of people when it comes to human interaction. They're the kind of people for whom human interaction one-on-one, or even the thing I'm doing right now, one-to-many, is a draining experience where it takes energy from you. And there's another subset of people where it actually gives you energy. I've noticed that after I talk to people for a while, even if initially I'm like, oh man, I gotta get up, I gotta get dressed, I gotta go out and hang with my friends, or sometimes maybe there's a little bit of lethargy kind of interfering with it. Once I get out and start talking to people, man, my energy picks right up. I'm excited, I'm happy to be there. Like, it gives me energy to interact with people. If that's you, that's a great sign you might be a good salesperson. Second, and this one is tougher because no one's gonna say this is them in the beginning. If everyone's gonna tell you if you have a thick skin for rejection, you might be a good salesperson. I would say a lot of times that might be a learned skill rather than an innate skill. There are some people who are naturally just so centered and confident in themselves that they can have a door slammed in their face, either physically or metaphorically, over and over and over again and still be pretty happy. I'd say most people get pretty affected by that until you've done it a bit. What I would say is that if you're the kind of person who can return to a positive emotional state relatively quickly after bad things happen, that's a good sign. A lot of times you'll notice that the same two people can go through the same two traumatic experiences, and one could need therapy and treatment for years and years afterwards just because of the way it sticks with them, and other people just seem to bounce right back, and it's pretty crazy. And so you'll find that consistently. If you're the latter kind of person who bounces right back, not right away, but like you tend to return to a pretty happy, positive emotional state after the bad things happen, another great sign you might be a salesperson. The other thing that I really think is important about sales in general, and I think one of the reasons why it should get a lot more credit than it does, and I hope to change that, is that it is a true meritocracy in the real sense of the word. Meaning there's no gate-kept portion of it. Like the practice of law can be extremely insular and judgmental based off of your credentials. It's a credentialed occupation. Where did you go to law school? Oh, were you summa cum laude or not? Like, what did you specialize in? Who have you clerked for? What law firms did you work for? Like, it's really big on that. Sales is not like that at all. They don't care what your degree is. They don't care what your background is. I mean, sure, if you're in a specialized sale, like you're selling the oncology equipment, then great, a medical background would be fabulous. That kind of salesperson doesn't require a lot of like emotional hype and trying to get, it doesn't require that. Sure, that can be an added feature, but really it's about trying to understand where they're coming from, what their needs are, and then how whatever solution you're selling might meet that criteria, and maybe understanding competition and being able to box them out. Beyond just being a meritocracy in terms of being hired, it's a meritocracy in terms of pay. How many other jobs are there where literally your paycheck every month or every quarter is determined not by whether your boss gave you a promotion or not, but by how much you actually sold? There are so many jobs where, the worst part of that job for a really high performing person who wants to be successful is doing your job really hard, giving it 110% every day, and then looking to your right and looking to your left and seeing people that are giving 75% of your effort and getting the same paycheck. And worse still, those people might actually get raises before you, not because they work harder, but because they're better at navigating internal politics of the organization. You contrast that to a salesperson. If you're putting in 110%, you're gonna see that in your paycheck. And guess what? When your managers are doling out promotions or thinking of what perks to give you or who to send on that trip, it ain't gonna be based off of the internal politics, at least not in a good organization. It's gonna be based off of how much you sold. Think of it like a sports team or something like that. Like if you are an MVP player, not only will you be treated like an MVP at your organization, but at any point in time, you can leave for a competitor or another organization and ask for a lot, and they will hire you and they will give it to you because they know the worth of a truly good salesperson. And the last thing I'll say, this is especially true for outbound. Again, you're gonna hear like the kind of person who makes a good salesperson is someone who likes to grind, likes to push really hard, that kind of thing. That is true. I would also add that the very best salespeople people tend to be creative. It's one thing to copy a playbook and just really pursue it and make the same calls over and over again and try to reach people the same way and use a stock playbook and use a script. That's fine, but really what's going to differentiate you is your creativity. So you finding a way to connect with prospects or connect with people or go after a different segment or target someone or create a new pitch based off of your own kind of understanding of situations and being able to come up with novel theories to it, novel approaches to it. So again, this is kind of an early on thing, but I noticed for me, when I would play like online video games or something like that, for me, I would have these creative hacks to try and get around the game. Or for instance, like I wrote a macro or a script to help play this one online role-playing game, kind of like EverQuest back in the day. I'm gonna totally date myself, but it would play the game for me on computers and stuff like that while I was at school. And then I went home and sold these leveled up characters on eBay to make money, like that kind of thing. If you find yourself being one of those kind of hustlers who like has that innate mindset where you're like, where's my angle here? How do I work my way around the rules? That is, like, for me, kind of a telltale salesperson sign. So let's recap real quick. I think that sales is a good profession if you are somebody who gets energy from interacting with people as opposed to getting drained from interacting with people. I think sales can be a great profession for you if you are someone who can return to a positive state relatively quickly after a negative event. You're not gonna love getting hung up on, you're not gonna love getting told no, and it's gonna get better over time. You'll build a thicker skin as it goes. But just compared to your peers, if you notice that bad events traumatize them for much longer than it tends to traumatize you or bring you into a negative state, it's a great sign you might be a great salesperson. If you are a hard worker and you like outworking the people next to you and you get so frustrated when people who don't work as hard as you get treated the same or better than you, sales might be a great profession for you. And then lastly, if you want to make sure that you are paid commensurate with how hard you work or how good you are, and not based off of any other criteria, not based off of what degree you have, or what family you come from, or how you dress, or how well you navigate the internal politics of whatever organization you're at. Now that can be a great thing, or it can be a bad thing. You gotta be honest with yourself. What kind of organization would you thrive more in? And if you would thrive more in a sports kind of oriented organization where you can get paid a lot for being the best, sales might also be a great profession for me. So from a reformed legal professional who is now in sales, that is my advice to you. And for anyone out there who's interested in getting into sales and tech, we happen to be hiring. If you go to kixie.click, you can always look us up. And if you're interested in sales technology that can help you or people you know that are in sales do even better once you're on the phones, being able to dial up to 10 lines at a time and only connect with people who actually pick up the phone, dialing with an AI-powered connection boost feature that allows your number not to show up as spam when you make these calls, being able to automatically text, and so many other features that come along with Kixie. We love helping salespeople. If you go to kixie.com right now, you can sign up for a 7-day free trial, and we will help you be the best salesperson possible. Thanks so much.